Can you tell us a little bit about your role as certification chair and why it's important for the work of the association?
Yeah, about the role, I'm taking care of the standards of the certification. There is a lot of work to do around it because it's important to have quality standards in this work we are doing as practitioners in logosynthesis. Because it looks very easy, logosynthesis actually. And if you get deeper into it, you realize it isn't that easy because it has a lot to do with the personal work of the counselors and coaches who are doing this. And therefore, it's also very important that people have the basis in how to build up relationships before they start the practitioner curriculum to get to a practitioner, because that's actually the most important part, that you know how counseling is working. Logosynthesis is only something coming on top of that, and we have to provide that these standards are in, so logosynthesis has the quality it needs to have.
So to be a practitioner in logosynthesis, you're looking for a base, an entry point of being a coach, a counselor, a therapist. There's some accredited training in counseling or
need to know how you build up a relationship. You can also be a social worker, for instance,
right.
Or that you have some skills and knowledge about how to build up a relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
because
that's
you cannot do logosynthesis without having a good relationships to your client. It's not only about throwing sentences,
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things where the basic procedure is very easy, and we could say, oh, just follow the basic procedure, but it is so much about creating a safe environment for an individual to feel comfortable exploring those emotions and thoughts and physical sensations that cause distress. So it's not, and that's one of the things that I find compared to something like a meditation or a yoga and things along mindfulness. One of the things with logosynthesis is we're asking people to consider what bothers them, and that can activate some distressing memories, some distressing beliefs and distressing fantasies about what could happen.
And there it's really important to have trust there, and so that people can open up to that.
Yeah, and one of the aspects that I found when I went through the practitioner training was to know the technical aspects of logosynthesis, but a big piece was to do my own work, which is always, oh, I got to do my own work. Okay. I wrote a book or two on it, but yeah, it's very interesting to actually have to do your own work, because quite often, especially as professionals, we are trained and we're the expert. And so to actually have to step back and explore what bothers us can be a little distressing as well, right? And so, yeah.
And I think when people start in this training with the basic, the basic seminar is quite technical. There you learn how to do it and trigger reaction and stuff. And then the path seminars that follow the basic, there all of a sudden the people realize, oh, I have work to do. Oh, it's about me, I think.
Yeah.
And there, that's what you're saying, but that's really a big and an important part about it, because if I react to triggers outside as a counselor, then I'm not in my best position, to handle this, to keep the safe space for the client. So that's why their own homework as you
Right.
called it, is so important.
Yes. Yes. And so I found even doing the training in the groups, I found it very intriguing, and I was curious to learn more about it, and so I think having that curiosity really helps to people develop, right? So to me, a little bit without the curiosity aspect, we can kind of almost be afraid to explore, and then that holds us back. But I really, yeah, I guess I'm still kind of blown away, and I know the importance, and that's why I wanted to talk to you about the certification process, right? Because quite often we come in, it's like, okay, I learned this and I learned this and I do these videos and blah, 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 and then I'm done, and then I get to be certified. And all of a sudden with this, it's like there is a process, because you can't just do it within a 6-week period and become a practitioner either, right? Because there is a process of personal development work behind it.
Yes, and that needs time as well, and that's very important also in the process to get to a practitioner, that you cannot do this in 2 months, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cannot do all the seminar one after the other and then it's done, because it's a
Yes.
personal process in it, and that's important, and that's also a part of the quality standards here,
Right.
that you take the time for the process, you know.
And be patient. Yes.
Yes, and be patient then. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I have been, I guess, since 2015. April 2015 was my first basic training. And so from that aspect, from that timeline, I have noticed just in the people that I have trained with, it has created such a powerful community, because everybody has been working on their personal development. People have been coaching and counseling and working in therapy with people in this method. And it has allowed me to recognize what is possible when we do come together and we develop together and we work together and we share our insights. And I find very inspiring just to know what we can what we can see going forward, I guess, as far as opportunity. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's very important, and also for the quality of this, it's about people. They are not thinking about when when you're on your way with the logosynthesis. It's not about to get the paper, to get the certification. So when people come to me and they say, "Oh, now I've done all these seminars in 3 months. Now I want to do the practitioner," I say, "And why actually do you want this paper? What is it about?" You know.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
not about the paper here. If it's about the paper, then is some blocks there we have to look at. Why is that so important that you have this piece of paper, you know,
Yeah.
this certification?
Yeah. Yeah. And when I got my practitioner, then I thought, oh, well, I'm kind of good with this. But then I was kind of curious still. So now I'm doing my master practitioner with Trish. So I'll see where that goes. And,
but I believe it's not actually about getting the master practitioner. It's about the path getting there, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
And it's because there's just so much more to learn and to develop in, and each aspect of it is just very intriguing to me. So yeah. And then that's what I appreciate in the logosynthesis community, is that there's great experience out there and everyone does support each other. I certainly, during the time of the pandemic, I certainly missed the in-person training, but we have been able to come together in a number of online groups, and that has created some very strong learning as well, and maybe learning that might not have been possible otherwise. But I do look forward to going back to the in-person training and working together as well.
Yes, and I think it's important to know, you know, even people who have the master practitioner, and I don't know all of us, we are learning all the time. It's not something we're never finished with this. And
Yes.
that's the beauty about it as well, I think,
Yeah. So for someone that is new to logosynthesis, that might like to go down the path of becoming a practitioner, certified practitioner in logosynthesis, could you just give a brief outline of what is expected?
So first of all, you need some kind of education in building up relationships. You can be a teacher, you can be a counselor, a coach, a therapist, social worker, theologue. You just have to have knowledge there before you start this. And then it's the first thing you do is to visit a seminar, Logosynthesis Basic,
Okay.
where you get the basic skills, the whole technique around logosynthesis. That's a 3-day seminar. If you're on site, online, you have 5 times 2 hours.
Okay.
And then you have to do 3 path seminars. If you do the whole curriculum on site, which is not realistic at the moment, I think, because of this pandemic, then 2 path seminars would be enough. But I'll just say now you need all the 3 path seminars: path of will, the path of trust, the path of courage. And then you need a logosynthesis life. That's also a 3 days where topics are taken up, and the trainer is doing demos throughout 3 days. If you're on site, and online, you have also, I think, 5 times 2 hours.
Okay.
And then you have to do supervision, group supervision, 2 days group supervision, or you can do some one-to-one, I think 3 hours one-to-one. When you have done that, then you're up to writing a paper around 12, 14 pages, I think, about your process, about a case where you have worked with a client and how you did that.
And the practice groups is something
Oh,
that
yeah,
we kind
good
of
that you
put
talk
in
about
the,
that.
yeah,
Yes,
because
you
that
need
gives
to
you
have
extra practice to work with the method, doesn't it?
Thank you for that, because that's very important that you work in practice groups as with 3 other people. You are 4 of you, and then you work on your own issues. And with 1 out of these practice groups, they are also in training the other 3 people. That you get to know them in your seminars somehow, and to work on your own issues and train as a guide, to guide other people in there. That's very important to have these in between as well. I think you need, if I'm not wrong, 6 per year. But that's also in the regulations, and you find these regulations on the LIA website. Do you put these on?
Yeah, I will put that on the
to put it on, so I don't need to
right.
tell about that now. Yeah, there you find everything you need for that. And then you, after this paper, you have handed in that paper, and that's okay, then you get the practitioner certificate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the community is growing very rapidly right now, and it's very nice to see. And thank you so much for the work that you do in a volunteer role, I may add, as a chair of the certification committee, and certainly the work of the Logosynthesis International Association is so important to maintain the quality standards and to share the integrity of something that we all know is such a very special and very deep work that is possible to really support humans in these unprecedented times. And it's very exciting to know what is possible, and it's also a bit of a responsibility to carry it forward with integrity. So thank you so much for your work, Christin.
Thank you, Cathy.